Revolutionary activists in the U.S., particularly those involved in struggles to free political prisoners and to end mass incarceration, celebrate and honor the tradition of Black August. According to these activists, Black August is a month to remember those who have died or been imprisoned in the fight for Black liberation in the United States, and a reminder that despite grave setbacks, the struggle lives on. To illuminate the history and importance of this month, People's Dispatch spoke to former political prisoner Jalil Muntaqim. Jalil was first imprisoned in 1971 when he was only 19 years old, after being involved in revolutionary Black liberation groups, the Black Panther Party, and the Black Liberation Army. Jalil spent 49 years behind bars before himself and his supporters won his freedom in October 2020. Muntaqim elaborated on his rich history and experience in the fight for Black liberation, both inside and outside prison walls. Can you speak to the origins of Black August and its importance to former and current political prisoners such as yourself?
Certainly. Black August began primarily in 1978 by some prisoners in San Quentin and California prison system. They are known as the Black Guerrilla Family, BGF. BGF came into existence back in late 69, 68, going into 70s, as a result of the murders of several Black activists who was in prison, by prison guards. They were being attacked by Aryan Brotherhood, white supremacists, and they were murdered by prison guards. And as a result of that, and many other incidents of violence against Black prisoners in the California prison system, the California prisoners began to organize themselves. Black prisoners began to organize themselves in a group they called the Black Guerrilla Family. It was a self-defense organization to defend themselves against white supremacist guards and other prisoners. In 1970, the great, and I say this with deliberate intention, Jonathan Jackson, 17-year-old, went into Marin County Courthouse to try an effort to free his brother, and he was able to liberate, for at least brief moments, William Christmas, James McClain, and Ruchell McGee, who was in the courtroom for his own legal purposes, not necessarily being part of this insurrection or this escape attempt. But he was called on to ask what he wanted to join. He did. He was the only surviving member of the August 7th, 1970 attempt to liberation at Marin County Courthouse in California. He's the only survivor. And just to add to that point about Ruchell, right? He's the longest held political prisoner in the United States, right? And he had been found not guilty of the charge of killing the judge, I think Judge Haley, at that insurrection, but the judge and everybody was murdered by California state police and correctional officers, right? He was the only survivor. He was found not guilty, and they're still holding him in prison today, illegally, right? So 58 years later. All right. 1971, Comrade George Jackson made an effort to escape. They alleged made an effort to escape, and he was murdered in San Quentin prison. He was a field marshal for the Black Panther Party for self-defense. He was a major writer, author, and revolutionary inside the prison systems, and building outwardly the leadership of the Black Guerrilla Family, and creating a nuance, you might say, in resurrecting what was then evolving as the prison movement or prison liberation movement. So he was murdered in 1971. 1978, the new leader of the Black Guerrilla Family, named Jeffrey Golden, Qatari Golden, was allowed to die in the prison yard. He was out in the prison yard, in the Adjustment Center, small yard Adjustment Center, which is a segregated yard. And he was playing some football. He tripped and fell, hit his head on the concrete, and cracked his skull. And the correctional guards allowed him to bleed out in the yard. Were not able to save him. And so that was a devastating impact on the BGF throughout California prison system. And they decided at that point in time that they will build a commemoration for their loss. Talk about Jonathan, George, and Qatari. And in so doing, they looked at the history of things that had occurred during the month of August, and they decided because each of those deaths, 70, 71, and 78, happened in the month of August, and so they found various incidents that occurred in the month of August. For instance, the insurrection of Nat Turner, the initiation of the a revolution in Haiti, all occurred in August, and many other events. And so they decided they're going to organize what they call Black August commemoration. And it began that process back in 1978, 1979. Black August commemoration has been going on over 50 years now. And we've been commemorating the idea of Black August ever since.
We're coming off the heels of the 2020 uprisings, massive protests against police brutality. Yet at the same time, Black people are still being gunned down in the streets by police in the same amount. Like, that hasn't changed. The reality of mass incarceration has not changed. We have a president that's unwilling to fundamentally change things in our country. Can you speak to the importance of Black August in this specific political context right now?
Yes, I'd be happy to do so. I'm in agreement with you that we cannot expect those who are in authority and in power, particularly coming from the White House, to change the spots of this leopard. They're not changing the spots of this leopard, right? Those spots are permanent. Right? This is the system. And so, inasmuch as the United States has the capacity for reform, right, to create an environment that gives the appearance of real change or substantial institutional change, the reality of it is that 740 billionaires in this country will not tolerate it, right? There's never enough for them, okay? And so, in understanding that, I'll give you an example. A lot of people was praising the election of Barack Obama, the first quote unquote Black president of the United States, as if that was going to make a real change. Okay, and so they can permit us to have these kind of visual fantasies, right, of substantial change by electing individuals, putting people in places like Kamala Harris as vice president, first Black woman vice president of the United States, and think that we have made progress. No, that's cosmetic, right? Those cosmetic changes that gives the impression of change, real change, but they're a lie. It's an illusion, right? And so what we have to do is we have to delude ourselves, right, or free ourselves from the illusion and the delusion of living in a equal social order in society. Okay, and so again, I have to return back to the idea of building the People's Senate, right? That's what we need to do today, right? There are new pockets of resistance in the United States, right? Political resistance in the United States, right? And we have to figure out ways how to develop unity and uniformity in building a serious national liberation and independence movement in this country, right? And that's what we're doing. That's the process we're doing. I keep going back to the People's Senate because it is a tool from which we can organize ourselves and build a consensus amongst those who are really sincerely, authentically, genuinely want real change, right? Revolution, all right? And so we have to, again, raise the kind of movement that parallels or is greater than that was of the civil rights movement. We need to build a new international and national liberation movement, independence movement in this country. And so that's what the process we're doing. And that's how we have to analyze, right, these conditions today, the socioeconomic conditions today as they exist today, right, to how do they benefit us. Now, so what we're doing is building what's called decolonization programs, right, across the country, where people are organizing themselves to try to alleviate some of the immediate issues like housing, education, hunger, medical neglect, those kind of things that we can address immediately when we organize ourselves, like the Black Panther Party did, right? They established free health clinics, right? The free breakfast programs that you find in schools today, they originated from the Black Panther Party, okay? That's where it came from. Okay. Same thing as the health clinics, right? There was no health clinics, community health clinics before the Black Panther Party started establishing community health clinics. Noted across the country, and hunger programs, free food programs, right? Black Panther Party started doing that. That's what we're doing today. We have organizations talk about the PLP, right? They give away 100 bags of groceries every 2 weeks here in Rochester. There's programs in Atlanta, right? The People's Program. One in California, another People's Program. One building up in Indiana, another People's Program. These are decolonization programs, right? Where we begin to empower our community on their capacity to build organizations for their own basic survival, right? For their own basic needs, right? And in so doing, by empowering people, we're also raising their consciousness and understanding the system for which we live in, why the system was not functioning in their best interest, right? And how we can organize ourselves. So one of the ways that we can build towards that network or National Liberation Front or the United Front across the country is these decolonization programs, establishing across the country, and then creating a network where our resources and our information is shared amongst them, right? And move towards the people-centered and the decolonization programs and building a new movement for national liberation and independence. So that is I'm talking about solutions, right? We know what the problem is. The problem is capitalist superiority and white supremacy, right? So our goal and objective is not so much to deal with, our goal and objective is where we want to go, right? Our goal and objective is what we're trying to achieve in terms of not what we're fighting against, but what we're fighting for. Okay, that's an important concept we have to keep in our mind, right? We already know what the enemy is, right? So what is the solution, right? Who is our friends? So it's what we're fighting for as much as what we're fighting against. And so building people centered, building decolonization committees, programs across the country is a means from which we can move the struggle forward, right? Build international solidarity, right? And try to address some of the major immediate issues confronting people across this country, organized people across this country in their own best interest. And so for me, that is how we are moving forward, addressing these issues in a very pragmatic way, right? We're not no highfalutin theories and politicking, right? But on the ground, doing the work, helping people, working with people, organizing people.
Do you have anything that you would like to add that we haven't gotten to yet?
Yes, I would. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity, right? This shared opportunity. I need for you to tell your audience, right, to get off their booty, right, and get on the streets. Okay. We need for you to become active in our struggle. We need you to find an organization that resonates with you. Join in and engage in this struggle. All right? People are the motive force of creating history. People are the motive force of creating history. Right? Organized people cannot be denied. Right? We need to get organized. Right? Our freedom cannot be denied once we organize. So with that, please go to tribunal2021.com, go to spiritofmandela.org, learn what we're doing, join, all right? Get involved, get engaged, all right? Our lives depend upon you.
Thank you so much, Jaleel, for that.